It was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
See?
Grammy-winning R&B superstar Usher took the stand in the high-profile trial of music mogul Sean P. Diddy Combs. With the courtroom packed and cameras capturing every moment, Usher's testimony proved pivotal as prosecutors and defense attorneys dug deeper into the controversial case that shook the entertainment industry. For years, he was the quiet success story, polished, marketable, loyal to the machine. But in a stunning courtroom moment that may redefine the power dynamics of the music industry, Usher Raymond finally broke his silence. He wasn't there to sing. He wasn't there to protect reputations. He was there to expose the rot at the center of Sean Diddy Combs' kingdom. And what he revealed shattered the illusion of a glamorous empire and pointed to something far darker. A calculated, predatory system hiding behind platinum records and flashing lights. When he stepped into Diddy's world at just 14, Usher says he wasn't entering mentorship. He was entering something closer to indoctrination. "I thought I was about to be groomed for stardom," he told the court. "But I wasn't prepared for what I walked into. Nobody is." Instead of studio sessions and vocal lessons, Usher claims he was submerged in what he now calls a cult of indulgence. From the moment he arrived at Diddy's penthouse, the atmosphere was soaked in luxury and secrecy. Champagne with breakfast, half-naked strangers sleeping in guest rooms, people I'd later recognize from TV. This wasn't mentorship, it was madness disguised as mentorship. He described it as flavor camp, a term he initially believed was harmless branding. Later, I realized it was code for something else, a training ground in silence, submission, and survival. The real bombshell came when Usher described what happened at 3 a.m. one morning. People in masks, dim lights, music humming low. I remember thinking, this looks like a ritual, not a party. There were cameras, lists, structure, like it had all been rehearsed, and no one seemed surprised but me. He wasn't supposed to see that night. Someone told him to go back to bed. He did, but he didn't sleep. That was the moment I knew something was deeply wrong, and that this man, Diddy, was not who I thought he was. Usher then focused on the conspiracy of silence surrounding Diddy. No one warned me. Not my label, not even my own mother. Everyone just smiled and told me I was lucky. But behind the scenes, people knew, and they kept their mouths shut. He alleged that Diddy's influence didn't stop at parties. It extended to careers. He didn't need to raise his voice. If he liked you, you stayed relevant. If he didn't, your calls stopped getting returned. If he liked you, your silence was the price. Usher said he wasn't the only one. There were others. Young artists hungry for success sucked into this orbit, promised mentorship, given manipulation. While he didn't name names, he suggested more testimonies may follow. Drivers saw it, assistants saw it, the industry saw it, the adults failed us, and they're still failing the next generation. One of the most chilling parts of the testimony came when Usher spoke about a private Caribbean trip with Diddy. I was 15. It was supposed to be a getaway. No cameras, no outsiders. That's when it hit me. I wasn't there to learn anything about music. His voice cracked. I won't describe everything, but what I will say is, I was placed in a situation no teenager should ever be in, and I wasn't given a choice. That trip, Usher said, forever changed their dynamic. After that, he was different with me. Tighter control, more parties, more rules. If I questioned anything, I was reminded, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. That was his line. Like I owed him my life. But Usher ended this segment of testimony with a powerful rejection of that idea. You didn't give me this life, he said, turning to face Diddy directly. You gave me trauma. You gave me nightmares I still wake up from. Perhaps the most legally damning part came next. Usher described signing a so-called standard NDA when he was just 16. It wasn't just about protecting company secrets. It included explicit clauses about private events and discretion. I didn't understand half the words. My mom co-signed it because the lawyer said it was routine. Now I know what it was. A muzzle, a leash. And the courtroom, silent and still, understood that this wasn't just one man's story. It was a crack in the facade of a music industry that has for too long protected its kings while sacrificing its children. That signature didn't just buy my silence, it sold my soul. I wasn't allowed to talk about the parties, the people, the rituals. They said it would ruin the brand. But what about what it did to me? Usher told the courtroom that clause was weaponized years later when he tried to speak out. In 2009, I was prepping for an interview with a major outlet. Then the questions got real, about Diddy, the parties, the after-hours scenes. Suddenly, my phone rang. It was Bad Boy's old legal team. They didn't mince words. "We hope you're not planning to jeopardize your reputation or your safety." Usher never gave the interview. It wasn't just the lawyers. He described shadowy phone calls, unmarked cars near his home, people he hadn't spoken to in years suddenly reminding him he still had obligations. "You think you've escaped that world," he said, "but that world has a key to every door you'll ever try to close." Then the bombshell. In a packed courtroom, Usher pulled out a copy of his NDA. The judge allowed it into evidence. Legal phrases like audio-visual documentation and unauthorized reproduction now dripped with menace, especially in light of the rumors surrounding Diddy's alleged freak-off video archive. Usher's voice cracked. That contract made me feel insane, like everything I saw, everything I felt, wasn't real, because I wasn't allowed to say it. Then came the 1996 story. Usher was 17. Diddy brought him to an elite mansion party in Atlanta. It was supposed to be a celebration, but what Usher saw was something else. Diddy was in his element, he said. Celebrities, models, security at every door. But the house had secrets. Usher testified that Diddy whispered something to a guard who opened a locked door at the back of the estate. "You're not ready for that yet," Diddy told him. Usher peeked inside anyway. "People in masks," he said. "That's all I'll say. But I knew, whatever this was, it wasn't about music anymore." Then came a silence in the room. "I think that night changed me," he confessed. "I saw things I still can't explain. I don't know if they were legal, but I know they weren't right." He held up photocopied journal pages. Started in 1998 as a songwriting notebook, it eventually became a vault of hidden truths. One entry from March 1999 read, "Dinner with Diddy and 3 suits I didn't know. Loyalty over everything. Diddy said, 'Loyalty keeps you on tour. Honesty sends you home broke.' They all laughed. I didn't." Another passage from October 2000 read simply, "Too many masks? Too many lies. Diddy says it's just the culture. I say it's a cult." "Did you tell anyone about these entries?" the prosecutor asked. "No." Usher said, "I was afraid no one would believe me. Or worse, they'd believe me and still do nothing." Then came the 1997 Miami incident. Usher was 18. Diddy invited him to meet a powerful investor, supposedly someone who could launch Usher's first world tour. "I thought it was about business," he said, but the scene at the Satay Hotel penthouse said otherwise. 3 older men in robes, champagne, silent women in the background. "One of them asked me if I wanted to be remembered forever," Usher recalled. He wasn't talking about music. Diddy left him in that room. "I felt trapped," Usher said. "They didn't touch me, but one of them put his hand on my shoulder and said, 'You can stay or you can leave, but you won't get another invite.'" Usher walked out and his world changed overnight. "Suddenly I wasn't getting calls. A producer pulled out of a project. A tour vanished. No one said why, but I knew why." Weeks later, Diddy allegedly showed him a handheld video. It was another young artist doing something he clearly hadn't agreed to. Diddy laughed. "I couldn't." "Did Diddy threaten you?" the attorney asked. "He didn't have to," Usher replied. The silence around him was louder than any threat. That was the moment Usher said he understood. In Diddy's world, talent doesn't keep you famous. Submission does. Then, with the courtroom lights dimmed and cameras focused on him, Usher's voice grew even heavier. "This next part, this is the hardest, because it's not just about me anymore." He described mentoring Justin Bieber, how it started as a dream until Diddy stepped in. He started inviting Bieber to Flavor Camp. Same phrase he used on me, Usher said, but Justin was only 15. They treated him like he was 30. In 2011, Usher got a call from Bieber. No words, just breathing. Then Bieber whispered, "I want to come home." Then silence for 2 days. When they finally reunited, Bieber wouldn't meet his eyes. He just said, "I'm good now." But he wasn't, Usher testified. He confronted Diddy, demanded answers. "What are you doing to these kids?" Diddy laughed. "Same thing they did to me." "That's how the game is rigged," Usher said, his voice low but unwavering. That was the last real conversation I had with Diddy. After that night, I backed off. I didn't want my name caught in the crossfire, but watching what's happened to Justin, I can't keep pretending anymore. What followed stunned the courtroom. For the first time, Usher revealed that in 2018, he got a call from a blocked number. The voice on the other end didn't mince words. "Tell him to keep his mouth shut or we'll shut it for him." When asked who he thought was behind the threat, Usher turned his eyes to the defense table. "I think you already know." Then came the bombshell, the moment that broke the silence of more than 2 decades. Usher described a secret gathering at a private Hollywood Hills estate in 2002. Until now, it had never been mentioned publicly. He said the night forever changed the way he saw Diddy, not as a mentor, but as a man orchestrating something far darker. This wasn't a party, Usher told the court. It was a ritual. He said he'd been lured there under the pretense of meeting a European producer. But when he arrived, there were no producers, no A&R reps, just low lights, ominous security, and a thick, suffocating tension in the air. Phones were confiscated at the door. Attendees were handed contracts disguised as NDAs, with language that sounded more like threats than legal protection. The vibe was off from the jump, Usher said, his voice reportedly breaking for the first time. There were people there who had no business being in the music industry, and they weren't watching, they were scouting. He said he recognized several powerful faces, celebrities, moguls, names the media never connected to Diddy, but declined to name them. Instead, he warned, if this trial continues, others will have no choice but to come forward. The turning point came when Usher attempted to leave early. That's when a stranger stopped him and escorted him into a private room where Diddy was waiting. "You're not ready yet," Diddy allegedly told him. "You still think this is about music. It's not. It never was." Usher walked out that night and never returned to another Diddy-hosted event again. His testimony then turned financial and damning. He shared internal emails and contract drafts that exposed the mechanics of exploitation. At just 14, Usher signed a deal binding him to 5 albums and giving up his masters until he was 35. "I didn't know what I was signing," he said. "I just wanted to sing. I didn't know I was selling my freedom." He cited other artists, Carl Thomas, Total, Black Rob, Craig Mack, all of whom had allegedly been used, discarded, and silenced. Usher even received a spreadsheet from a whistleblowing accountant, revealing over $4.3 million in unpaid royalties. When he confronted Diddy, he claims the mogul laughed. "If you knew what I really owed you, you wouldn't sleep at night." Court documents revealed that some artists signed settlements in silence, accepting pennies to regain rights to their names or music. But the most haunting claim was this. Usher said Diddy once ordered the destruction of demo tapes and video footage from an artist who had threatened to speak out. That artist has since vanished. "I don't know where he is," Usher said. "Nobody does. But I remember his voice. He was terrified." Asked why he stayed silent for so long, Usher answered with a mix of pain and clarity, "Because I thought I owed him. I thought silence was loyalty." But loyalty to what? A lie. He said guilt consumed him for years, watching other young artists step into the same trap. In 2011, he attempted to organize a secret meeting with fellow bad boy artists to demand justice. But someone tipped Diddy off. The meeting never happened. And then came the part that silenced the courtroom entirely. Usher disclosed that in 2001, at the height of his early fame after 8701, he vanished for a week. The public was told he was resting. In truth, he had checked into a private psychiatric clinic in Northern California under an alias. The trigger? Trauma. "I had panic attacks," he said. "Crowds, flashing lights, even candles that smelled like the ones Diddy burned in the house. I couldn't breathe." He told the clinic's psychiatrist, "I saw things no kid should ever see. I lived in a world where silence was currency and your soul was just another trade." The psychiatrist diagnosed him with PTSD. It took 2 years before he could sleep without waking up drenched in sweat. Usher said others weren't so lucky. One overdosed, one tried to kill himself, and one disappeared. "Why stay silent?" the prosecution asked. "Because no one would have believed me," Usher replied. "In 2001, Puffy was untouchable. I was just the kid with the voice. And now the world's finally listening." He ended his testimony by looking directly into the camera, into the eyes of young artists who still idolize the industry giants on trial. "This isn't about one man. It's about an entire system built on silence, manipulation, and control. But I'm done being afraid. I'm not speaking for me anymore. I'm speaking for the ones who didn't make it out." As the courtroom absorbed the weight of his words, it became clear. This wasn't just a trial. This was an unraveling of legacies, of illusions, of an industry that protected predators in the name of profit, and the reckoning had only just begun.